It was one of those nights when the city lights looked too far away for dreams to reach. A 15-year-old boy named Elliot stood under a flickering street lamp, holding an old scratched-up guitar that barely stayed in tune. His clothes were worn thin, and his shoes had holes that let the cold seep in, but his eyes, those deep brown eyes, still carried a fragile spark of something the world hadn't yet managed to steal: hope. Elliot lived in a small town outside Los Angeles, where dreams came to die quietly in the corners of broken apartments. His mother, once a singer herself, had fallen ill years ago. Her voice, the same one that used to fill their tiny kitchen with warmth, had faded to whispers. His father had left when Elliot was just 8, unable to bear the weight of poverty. But every night, after long days washing dishes in a diner, Elliot would sit beside his mother's bedside and sing softly. Music was their escape. His mother used to say, "When you sing, Eli, the world listens, even if it pretends not to." Those words became his reason to keep playing. One evening, while scrolling through an old phone at the diner, Elliot saw a poster: local talent show, winner gets a recording session in Los Angeles. He stared at it for minutes, hands trembling. The entry fee was $20 more than he made in 2 nights, but he felt something stir deep inside him. That night, he emptied a small jar of coins and whispered to his mother, "Mom, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the chance you always said would come." She smiled faintly, her hand shaking as she brushed his hair back. "Then go, my boy. Sing for the both of us." The night of the show came fast. The auditorium buzzed with excitement: bright lights, polished instruments, confident kids in perfect clothes. Elliot stood backstage in his thrift store shirt and worn jeans, clutching his guitar like a lifeline. When they called his name next up, Elliot Harper, the crowd barely looked up. He stepped onto the stage, the glare of the lights blinding him for a moment. The host asked, "What will you be performing tonight?" Elliot's voice cracked slightly as he answered, "Hotel California." A few people chuckled quietly. Some whispered. It was a legendary song, far too big for a skinny, nervous boy from nowhere. He took a deep breath, adjusted the mic, and began to play. At first, his hand shook, the guitar sounding unsure. But then something shifted. His fingers found the rhythm, the chords began to flow, and his voice, soft, aching, trembling, filled the hall. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't loud, but it was real. When he reached the line, "You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave," his voice cracked just slightly and tears rolled down his cheeks. In that moment, it wasn't just a song. It was a confession. It was his life, the feeling of being trapped in circumstances he couldn't escape, singing to survive the pain. The audience went silent. Even the judges, who'd been distracted moments before, leaned forward, his eyes closed, and with every word, he poured out the ache of a boy who had lost almost everything but refused to lose his soul. When the last note faded, there was no sound. Just the faint hum of the microphone. Then suddenly an eruption of applause. People stood. They clapped, they cried, they shouted his name. Elliot blinked, tears blurring the stage lights. He wasn't sure if it was real. After the show, a woman approached him backstage. She looked to be in her 40s, elegant but kind-eyed. "That song, you sang it, like you've lived it," she said softly. Elliot nodded, embarrassed. "Thank you, ma'am. I just wanted to make my mom proud." The woman smiled gently. "You did. I'm Laura Henley. I used to sing with the Eagles back in the day, before I moved into mentoring young artists." Elliot's mouth fell open. The Eagles. He couldn't believe it. Laura continued, "I haven't heard anyone bring this much soul into that song in years. I want to help you, Elliot. Not just because you have talent, but because you have something most people forget to bring on stage: truth." Within a week, Laura had arranged for him to record a demo in Los Angeles. Elliot's mother couldn't travel, her health was failing fast, but she listened to his recordings through a small speaker beside her bed. One night, as he sat with her, she whispered, "Ella, when you're up there, and people listen, remember, it's not fame that matters. It's the hearts you touch." Those were her last words. She passed away that night, peacefully, holding his hand. Months later, a video of Elliot's performance from that local show went viral. Titled "Emotional Boy Sings Hotel California, Audience Can't Stop Crying," it spread across the internet like wildfire. Millions watched the fragile, trembling boy pour his soul into that haunting melody. Comments flooded in. People shared how his voice made them remember lost loved ones, old dreams, and broken promises. Some said his song gave them the courage to live another day. Elliot never stopped singing after that. He went on to record his first album, a tribute to his mother called Echoes of Home. Every show began the same way. He'd step up to the mic, close his eyes, and whisper, "This one's for you, Mom." And as the first notes of Hotel California rang out, the crowd always rose to their feet, many wiping away tears before the chorus even began. Years later, when a young boy asked him in an interview, "What made you sing that night, when you were scared?" Elliot smiled, looking at the floor for a long moment.